Welcome back to Management Information Systems. This is Mary Jo Black, your instructor for this class. One of the things I wanted to talk about was getting started with the Microsoft Office suite. What we want to do is we want to understand how the suite works, the Office apps that are in it, identify some of the screen elements, and create and save a file. So let's get started. So the objective of open and saving it with a new name, view and print your work, and get help, close a file, and exit an app are the objectives. To understand Microsoft Office 2016, it's a group of software called applications or apps. You can perform a lot of different functions with these applications. You can create documents, reports, presentations, graphic design, Excel spreadsheets, etc., etc. There's a lot of things that you can do with this particular suite. The skills can transfer between the programs too. So if you learn one set of skills with one program, in most cases you can use them as you're working with another program. So programs in the Office suite are Microsoft Office Word, which you've probably heard of. It's to create a Word document. Microsoft Office Excel, which is something we're going to spend quite a bit of time with in this particular class. It's a very, very powerful tool and uses lots of very cool things such as formulas, etc., in order to create a spreadsheet that can actually do work for you. There's Microsoft Office PowerPoint, which I'm using right now to do presentations. There's Microsoft Office Access, which is actually a database tool. And you'll find this really interesting because databases can be very, very effective. And you'll find that most information systems will use a database of some kind. The benefits at the level of the suite are the common user interface and the collaboration. So let's take a little bit more of a look here. So here's some of the examples of the Microsoft Office 2016 documents. As you can see, you can really do a lot of amazing things with Microsoft Office. I don't know what I would do without it. So what we're going to use is Office 365, and it's a subscription service. And one of the things that you will get with Office 365 is the ability to work in the cloud. Now, when I talk about a cloud, I'm not talking about the clouds that you look at outside. It's actually when you save things, you can, if you're using our cloud service, you can save them to the cloud, which means that you can save them to another institution's, in some cases, Microsoft, Google, etc., etc., will have a server where you can store things on. Microsoft Office 365 works in the cloud. So what you're doing is you are going out to another server that's located somewhere else, and you're accessing those applications in order to work on them. The user interface is what is called the tool that you use to interact with a program. You can use the interface to choose commands, work with files, navigate in the program windows. The benefits of using a common interface, as we discussed before, is that a lot of these skills will apply from one program to the next. So let's take a look at some of the screen elements. So if you take a look up here, this is your quick access toolbar. So you can see all of these little buttons up here. This one right here happens to be the Save button. This is the PowerPoint button. This particular area right here is called the ribbon. So you're going to have things in the ribbon that you can use as well, like copy and paste. You can also use tabs, which will take you to different ribbons. So if you look at that and click on the animation, it'll bring up the animation ribbon. And right here is the dialog box. So if you click on it, it'll launch that dialog box. It's a dialog box launcher that will launch the dialog box. And if you take a look at the outside here, you can actually see the document window. So this is what you're going to be able to put information into. So to create and save a file. So let's talk about a file for a minute. A file is a collection of data. So you can have many different kinds of files. You can have a docs file, which is a document that you save. You can have an XLS file. You can have a database file. You can have, it's a collection of data. You can create a file by launching any one of these applications like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and then you can go ahead and go through the process of creating the file. When you save files, you should use meaningful words to save them. So it might, an example of a bad file name would be file 1. So maybe I'm going to save this presentation, and one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to call it Office 2016 Introduction. That makes sense. Another thing that is very, very good to do when you're saving a file, it's not necessarily naming a file. You can name it and put spaces in between it, but a lot of times when you save a file, it's a really good idea not to put spaces in between the file names. So you either put them together, or maybe you put an underscore in between each of the words that you have, but you start to use a system that makes sense. Oops, let me go back here. So let's go to the next one. Okay, here we are. So one of the things that you're going to find is that there's extension names. So a Word document will be saved as .docx. An Excel document will be saved as .xlsx. A PowerPoint .pptx. And an Access database will be saved as .accdb. And you'll start to see that when you save it. You'll see that extension after you name after you save the file with a name. It will append .docx or whatever the file extension is. I'll try not to jump around with this PowerPoint too much here. Okay, so to save a file, you're going to go to File, then Save As, and you're going to, first of all, click to change the location you want to save your file in. So if you have a file that you want to save on your desktop, you're going to browse to your desktop. If you're going to save it in your computer, you're going to browse to your computer. If you're going to go to the SkyDrive, you're going to go to this, click on the item and go to your SkyDrive. So once you find, you browse, you'll be able to use this area here to go to where you want to save, or it's the navigation pane to save your file. And this is where you're going to save the name of the file that you want. So here's how to open a file and save it with a new name. So let's say you need to use you reuse an existing file, but you want to make some changes to it and you don't want to overwrite the old file. So you would open up, let's say it's a budget file, and what you're going to do before you even start working in it is you're going to go to File, Save As, and then give it a new name. So when you open that dialog box, you might call it New Budget. Then save that existing file. Go in and continue to work on it, and then when you're done, you can save it. So what happens is you have that old file intact, and you also have the new file that you made edits to. Okay, so one of the things that you're going to do when you save your files is if you open and save as the dialog box. So here you've saved in Office and Unit A. And if you take a look, here's the file name right here, Office A-1. So one of the things you're going to find is when you open up this file, you're going to see the available files in the folder. So this is the location of the folder. It's in Microsoft Office, Office, Unit A. And this is the open button. So if you wanted to open, you'd click on open. So one of the things that you're going to find out is you're going to have to save files and be very good about organizing your files. You want to make for sure you organize them in an area that makes sense. So if you want to save it in a different location, you have to navigate to that area. And this is, I think, a good example of what happens a lot of times for people is they save a file and they don't realize where they saved it. And they may have saved it in C, which is the drive that's just your basic drive on your computer, is the C drive. And you just have to remember that if you're going to save it on the C drive, then you need to know that that's where you need to go to get it. You can also save it more than once by giving it a new location or a new file name. And also, if you take a look at this, this is really important. So we're saving this file as an Excel workbook. If you click on that drop-down file, there will be a whole list of extensions. So in most cases, when you're in an application, it's going to know how to save. But you may need to go in, for example, you may have a .txt file, and this is just an example, and you'll learn these kinds of things as you start to work with applications. You may need to save it for a particular reason as a .csv file. So there are different extensions when you use that drop-down that you can save your file as. To print. So Microsoft Office also has a way to print documents, and you can also customize your print jobs. And let's take a look if they have a good example of how to do this. So here, if you're going to print, let's go back. If you're going to print, one of the things you're going to do is you're going to go to File, and then you're going to go to Print, and you'll see a status bar at the bottom, and you also see a Print Layout button. So Print Layout would tell you how you want to lay your document out. So this is something you should play with a little bit if you're trying to print something, because you may want to put it in different layouts or in various layouts and in various ways. You may change the margins, you may do a lot of things so that the document looks the way that you want it to look. So if you want to get help, there's also a way to get help when you're in a particular application. So you might be in Word and you want to know how to do something. One good way to do it is to click on F1 on your computer, and that will help you get help. You can type in what you're having trouble with, and those the F1 help service will take you to some documentation so that you can go ahead and learn more about the type of application you're working with. So closing a file leaves a program running. So if you go up here and you click on the X, you're closing a file. What you want to do is you want to exit, which you want to go up and you want to go to File, Exit, and then you're exiting a program. And it closes all of the file. Okay. So here, if you take a look, to close a file, this is where you're going into the help screen to get help with it. One of the things you can try is to go to the help menu and type in close a file. See what you get. I think you'll be very intrigued that you get a lot of information that's very helpful. Okay, so we talked about Microsoft Office 2016, the program suite. Word creates text documents, Excel creates worksheets, PowerPoint creates presentations, and Access